Welcome, everyone, to the AM 1150 Garden Show. It is a lovely day out there so far. A little chilly, but it's going to be another sunny day, I think, Don.
It is a beautiful day. Ken, can't believe this weather. It's fabulous.
It's unbelievable for November. I mean, geez. I think all the gardeners are getting all the gardening done this year for once, because a lot of years we get cut off early in November, and this is a year where people can actually get things done. And look out your windows and look at the sun shining on
my head,
off your head, yeah.
I know.
It's reflecting off your head and onto the east side mountains, west side mountains.
Okay,
Anyway.
let's do the tips and the plants of the week here.
You betcha.
Now, my tip of the week is this, and that is with this mild weather.
Yep.
I think it's there we go. Now I feel better about doing my tip. Okay. Now, with this mild weather, I think it's prudent that we do as much rat control as we can.
Yeah.
Now, I know people don't like to talk about rats, but it's reality. It's we have rats in this city.
Yep.
And they're getting ready for winter. They're foraging as much as they can, and this is the time you can snap them up. And traps work, in my mind. Traps work the best. The thing is, though, I'd like to get some ideas today on how to prevent any extra, what do you call it, side kill, squirrels, birds, things like that. I've caught a couple of birds lately, and I don't like that. I'd rather catch rats, but I think the key thing is to not keep the traps through the day.
Or invest in some really good traps.
Well, really good traps trap birds.
The electric ones.
Oh, the electric ones.
I don't
trap?
think so.
They don't work.
We'll
either,
look into
it.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Really?
Mine doesn't work. I've tried.
Oh,
yeah. Well, that's a long tip of the week, isn't it?
That's awesome.
My plant of the
Good
week.
information.
My plant of the week's very seasonal.
Yep.
Euphorbia pulcherrima.
Oh, yeah.
The poinsettia.
It's that time again.
It is that kind of time of year. Just flips by before you know it. It's poinsettia time again. See them showing up in the garden centers and the flower shops and the big box stores. They're all over. It's a sea of red and pink and blue
lovely.
and white.
Yeah, exactly. What a selection, eh?
Yep.
All right, I also have a tip and a plant this week. And my tip of the week is that this is time to remove the hoses. If you haven't done so, do it once around the house. Make sure your hoses are removed from your taps to prevent any freezing into the walls of your house. That I've mentioned that several times, and this is hopefully the last time I have to mention it. But I also have another tip that it is also a great time to mulch your roses if you haven't done so. A nice chunky product, the Grow product is excellent, or any of the mulching products that we have available here. Some of the Nature's Gold products are also excellent for mulching your roses, and it's done usually after you get a good hard frost. And we've had a couple here and there, not a lot, but it's still a great time to do it. Plant of the week this week is parsley. And parsley, I was just out in the garden and I walked over, and parsley looks like $1 million. It so loves this late fall cold weather. It's just looking like it's just a beautiful thing. Anyway, that's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check KelownaGardens.com.
You betcha, Ken. And I just want to, on a sad note, I want to just mention that today's show is dedicated in memory of Tom Landale, good friend of mine, very interesting guy and real family man, and was born in the Okanagan up in Ewing's Landing, near Vernon, and spent the first 10 years of his life there, and then moved to Kelowna. And he was just fascinating. I sat for several hours with him scanning pictures from his albums and whatnot, and he was in the Kelowna Motorcycle Club with the Collinson family, and he just did lots of stuff, and he was an avid gardener as well. And he took a flight in a plane. I'm not sure whether he was the pilot or not, but anyway, he was in this plane in 1949. He took a bunch of aerial shots of Kelowna, and there's a fairly nice shot of our property on Ethel Street when it was, 10 acres of property there. Aberdeen hadn't even been developed then, and you could see the Cameron property with the trees lined up, the long row of trees. And, of course, across the street from Burnett's on Ethel Street was the License family operation, which actually was, at that point in time, was already the Morey family. The Morey family bought the property from License in 1949. And, it's very, very cool. And I'm saddened to hear that Tom has passed away. And my thoughts and best wishes go out to his family, his wife Pauline and his kids. So there you go, Tom Landale, gone. We are going to carry on here as well and remind people, Ken, that next weekend, December 1st, will be our 1,000th show on this station. 1,000
It's a big
shows.
one.
It's a biggie.
Yeah, you bet.
It's a big one. Now, I have a commitment that day, okay?
Yes, you
I
do.
have a commitment. It's one I do every year, and it's a very special commitment. I've been hired by a gentleman from up north, the North Pole, hired as one of his helpers, right? So I have to be in attendance at Byland's Garden Center that morning.
Yeah.
But I will come in and wish everyone the very best. But what we're going to do, that will be the 1,000th show. That is a very special show. And it's up to you, Ken.
You betcha.
It's up to you. But actually, we're going to have a special celebration a couple of weeks after that on the 22nd of December.
Yeah, our Christmas show.
Our Christmas show, which we've done, it's been an annual thing we've been doing since 1983 at an annual Christmas show where we...
used to be your mom and dad used to come in. Hey?
That was, we called it the family show because Mom and Dad would come on, my brother Al.
Yeah. But your dad actually would sing too, wouldn't he?
He would sing on the radio right there and do a song. And Mom would read a poem. So we're going to carry that tradition on a little bit. Hopefully have my wife Donna and Ellie might come on, my granddaughter. And also special guests that we often have on at Christmas. Brian Mincher's going to phone in, and Valdi might phone in, and maybe Ed
never
Hume.
know who,
We'll get as many people to call in. And we're going to stretch the show out to 3 hours. We've already okayed that with the station, so we're going to have a special 3-hour garden show on the 22nd of December. So just keep that in mind.
Be a nice opportunity for people to phone in and just wish the best for everyone.
All Christmas and holiday wishes.
You bet.
And the days, Ken, are getting so darn short now. Have you noticed at the end of the day, I was on a property the other day, and I was doing some measuring outside, and I could see what I was doing. It was quite, still, it was getting late in the afternoon, and I could still see what I was doing. However, went in to talk to the client for a couple of minutes, ask him a couple of questions. 2 minutes I was in there. Came out, pitch dark, couldn't see a thing. Just like that,
Yeah,
crazy time
the day ends early.
Yeah, you betcha.
You bet.
Now, we're going to take a short break. We invite your calls to the show, 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I today. Having a great day already, and the sun is poking through and shining, and it's just great weather. We're going to have a good time this morning, a couple hours, and hey, we invite your calls. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Back with you, and the sun is getting brighter out there. I thought somebody was welding for a minute out there, Ken.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's looking great.
It is. We're going to open the lines, 250-862-2525 to get through to us today, and we have Linda joining us. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
It's a beautiful day. At 5 minutes to 8, the sun rose above the hill in Peachland and flooded my house with glorious sunshine. And
beautiful.
It's just absolutely clear and gorgeous. It's a perfect day for a drive to Peachland, and there's good reason to come to Peachland today.
I figured.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that you might. Peachland is coming alive today with Christmas markets. We have no less than 5 physical locations, ranging from the Peachland United Church to the little schoolhouse on Brandon Lane, to the Wellness Center and the Community Center and the 50-plus Activity Center with a guitar show and swap. And, of course, our usual artisan market at the Visitor Information Center in the large historic yellow schoolhouse right across from Swim Bay, where you can come by and browse our artisans, pick up a card for all of the locations, beautiful card, Peachland Christmas Markets, and then you can be on your way and browse all the rest. And it's opening early today, 9 until 3.
Wow.
Now, any questions?
Well, first of all, thank you for this, because Linda, giving us this information on what goes on in that fine, vibrant town or city of Peachland is great information for us, because that drive to Peachland is not very long, just a few minutes from Kelowna, and it's almost like going back in time in a way, because Peachland is such a vibrant town that is so tight, and everybody knows everybody, and it's just a beautiful little community, and it's so close to Kelowna that I think everybody should treat themselves and go out and have a look. And all these events that you're talking about today are just incredible. The Peachland community puts all these things on. Plus, well, for just to digress a bit, my wife Donna and her friends, when they celebrate Canada Day,
yes.
they go to Peachland.
Isn't that wonderful?
They go to Peachland to celebrate Canada Day, because it's well, I don't like to use the word quaint, but it is kind of quaint. It's just kind of going back in time when things were a little simpler, you know?
It has that little town charm.
Oh, yeah.
And people are friendly, by and large.
Mm-hmm.
Except when the Ogopogo starts swimming by. Then they all freak out. It's like aliens.
Exactly.
No, Linda, we really appreciate your reports from Peachland. And so today, this is happening all day today?
It starts at 9, and the artisans will be packing up around 3. But it's just so beautiful.
Oh, it's a beautiful day.
And we've got the historic walkway, the Centennial Walkway that was put in 2009. Mm-hmm. So it's so easy to just walk from place to place, find a place to park. It's going to be quite busy, but it's well worth the drive. And as I like to say, we have such phenomenal artisans, high-end quality at very affordable prices, because it's true. We've got everything from food to hand-wrapped jewelry, silver wire around stones, people that handcraft really cute things for children and adults.
Well, someone's ears perked up when you talk guitars here.
Aha! Well, the guitar show and swap is taking place at the 50 Plus Activity Center, which is right across Cousins Field from the Visitor Information Center in the Yellow Schoolhouse.
Ken's always said, you can't have too many guitars.
That's true.
Well, in that case, I'd like to hear Ken play them.
Oh, he plays. I'll tell you. You will probably on our family Christmas show coming up on the 22nd. We'll make sure that we play you a tune. How's that?
That's absolutely wonderful. Look forward to it.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you for this time. I appreciate it, and I hope everyone comes to Peachland and enjoys our markets. But I have to get out to work.
Thank you, dear. We appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There you go.
Yeah,
Wow.
Peachland is a very
happening
vibrant
place. Yeah.
community. It has been for years, and it's one of those hidden secrets of the Okanagan. It's just a beautiful place. Beautiful place. And it is a true city. It has a city council. It has a mayor. It's a city. It's not just a little village. It's not a town. It's a city, an incorporated city. Okay, well, let's get on with some of the things we want to talk about. Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. How many people saw that?
Great gardeners.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're digging all the time. They're digging into that turf all the time.
They are. They do their own type of plowing.
Yeah,
they turn the
plow
field
turn the field
one
up.
scoop at a time.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting to see the two elder statesmen of golf go at it. They're not quite over the hill, but they're getting it. They're sort of they're dipping into the other side of the hill, and Phil got one over on Tiger. He beat him by one hole. He had to go to 22 holes. It was a match play thing, and Phil got Tiger by a hole. And what can you say? I was kind of happy for that. The bets were on Tiger, so a lot of people made some money because anybody that bet on Phil made money. And I didn't make any money because I didn't bet. But in fact, I spent $20 getting the darn thing into the living room. But that's okay.
That's very cool, though.
It was very cool. It was a nice way to spend the afternoon yesterday, in between doing some bookwork and whatnot. And I want to say happy birthday to our wonderful daughter-in-law, Bree Burnett, my daughter's wife, and she is one of the best people in the world that I know, and she is having a birthday today.
Very nice.
She's our favorite Australian, Ken. Our favorite Australian. She's
awesome.
Smart and beautiful, and she has she works at Big White, manages the housekeeping up there. Has a couple of hundred people working with her.
Wow.
And she's a go-getter, a real hard worker, and we love her dearly. And I want to wish her a very wonderful happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Bree.
Yeah. Garden Club meeting coming up on December 4th.
Yep.
It's a good one. It's the Christmas get together that we have every year, and it's a what do you call that when you bring a bunch of food? Everybody brings food.
Potluck.
Thank you. Potluck.
You're welcome.
I was going to say smorgasbord, but it's not. It's a potluck.
Yeah, it's not. Yep. Potluck.
And nowadays, with the legalization, it's not bring your own pot. It's like a potluck. It's a different pot.
Different kind of pot.
Different kind of pot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's always fun. The Christmas one, they have entertainment there, and people are welcome. You don't have to be a member of the club to come. Just say you're a friend of Don Burnett, and you're here as my guest, and bingo, you're in.
It's the first Tuesday of December.
Yeah, first Tuesday of December. That's the 4th. That'll be So, I got my cell phone back. Well, I didn't get my cell phone back. I bought a new cell phone.
Yeah.
That's
how it usually
I've learned my
goes.
lesson. I've learned my lesson from all of the techies that tell me, why didn't you find your iPhone triggered? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Well, I didn't do it because I didn't do it. I've learned my lesson. I have everything. Everybody knows
Triple
where I am
backup.
now.
Yep.
If like Donna knows where I'm at. She knows that if I'm stuck in a ditch out in the Coquihalla, she says, find Don's iPhone, and here he is in the ditch on the Coquihalla.
Yep.
She can see it.
There you are.
See where he is.
Oh, he's in the bar in Merritt.
She's probably not going to care.
Now he's in Merritt.
Yes,
he's
in the Merritt bar, yeah. There you go. Oh, boy. But anyway, the tough part was the pictures. I up until a year ago, because I just got a new phone a year ago. So on my old phone that I have in my office, I had all my contacts on there.
Right.
But, it's a good thing that I, in a way, there's always a positive to a negative, right? There's always a positive side.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And the positive side is that I'm going through my telephone list now, at least up to a year ago. Anything I put in there from a year ago isn't in there, which is a drag, but I'll survive. But I got about 900 contacts in my phone, right? There's about 100 of them that have dead. They died.
Right.
So
you're updating your list.
I didn't put them in. There's no point in putting them in. Charlie and all those guys. All my friends that have died. But anyway, so I'm doing that, getting that up to date. And so anybody out there that they're not hearing from me.
Yeah, give you a call.
Maybe I've lost your contact.
Your number's the same. Yeah.
Your contact. So give me a call and I'll get you back in the phone.
Yeah. That's the way it goes.
We're halfway through the first part of the show. 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I today. It's getting better and better out there as we speak, isn't it?
It's going to be a glorious day. We're going to have to get out into the garden. I would really like to get out. I got a few things I still have to plant. I don't think that ever ends. As long as there's the earth is diggable, I always have something to plant. So I've got actually about 4 or 5 things. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. Okay, 10 things that I still need to plant, and I'm going to do it. And I think it might be today.
You're one of those guys, aren't you?
Oh,
you're one of those guys. You're one of those plant guys. You're a plant guy.
I got to finish. I've got a section of Primula auriculas that go up my little walkway up to the garden, and I've got 3 more to do on the other side. So I've got them going up both sides. It's one of my favorite plants.
Do you remember?
I just love to see
you
them.
Remember Batman and Robin, and they used to the comics when the Batman would swack somebody. It was a swack and big exclamation mark. Pow,
bam,
swack, right?
Yep.
Well, there's a cartoon going around, and the caption, here's Batman slapping Robin over the head and is whacking. He says, "What do you mean you got too many plants?" It's funny. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're going to take a short. You can just visualize that.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean you got too many plants? We're going to take a short break and get back to you very quickly after these messages with more AM 1150 Garden. We are back with you on a beautiful Saturday morning, and I use that term not loosely at all. It is beautiful. I'm telling the truth.
Little
It's beautiful.
snow up there on the top kind of looks nice.
Yeah.
Looks
How-
really good up there.
Yeah. How beautiful is it, Ken? It's just beautiful.
So beautiful.
You bet. We're going back to the phone lines here, and we've got Esther. Is that Esther?
Good
yeah,
morning.
Esther. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're well, thanks. Thanks for
that's
calling
good.
in.
Beautiful sunny day.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. I have an azalea plant that was given to me in February, and it was just covered in little blooms. It was a gorgeous plant, and it's in a 4-inch pot. And so after it bloomed, I took it out onto the patio, and we watered it during the summer. And in September, it started to bloom again.
Nice.
And it had huge blooms. They were at least 3.5 inches across.
Wow.
And it was just a gorgeous plant. Now it is finished. It's almost finished blooming, and I want to know how to take care of it.
Right. Are you going to transplant it into a larger pot? Or
Well, I
is it-
wondered if I should do that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think it's at that point. And you've been able to keep it moist enough in that pot? They
yes.
certainly love the moisture, don't they?
Oh, well, it was sitting in a in a little bowl, and there was half a bowl of water, and I thought it had too much actually.
Yeah.
But I've been keeping it moist, and it has lovely blooms, but it is finished now. And
Yeah.
so you think I should transplant it?
I don't think I would do it right now, but
No.
it needs to be. You see what the plant thinks. I'm trying to just get inside the mind of the plant. So these plants normally are sort of winter blooming.
Oh,
You know, like I'm sure. You
yeah,
know,
that's why I got it in February, I guess.
yeah, I guess so. That would be the sort of their normal blooming time, and so right now it thinks it's in February. So it's It's going to go into a growth phase. So that means that after those blooms finish up and drop off, you can pick them off. Just keep on with the watering. You know, leaving it sitting in the water is not always the best. Once in a while is okay, but let it just dry very slightly between waterings. They really like to be pretty steadily
They'd like
moist.
to be damp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's going to start to grow. And as soon as it starts to grow, it push out some new little shoots around those old blossoms. Then it is normally time to do a transplant.
Oh, there are a few little shoots.
Yeah. So that's
Actually.
what they'll do is they'll go into that growth phase. So then the key is they have a super fibrous root system that's so compact that sometimes it doesn't want to kind of release from the shape of the old pot. So you have to very carefully just cut almost like straight down the side of the roots at maybe about 2 inches apart all the way around, and maybe one across the bottom, and just very gently sort of fluff that. Just very, we say tease the roots very gently. Yeah, very gently.
It's like
and then,
fine hair.
Oh, yeah, because remember, this thing is growing now. It's starting to grow. So then you can get it into your new pot.
And how big a pot?
You'd go into at least a 6-inch or maybe even an 8-inch pot, you know. And
Will it eventually end up in a little brush or a shrub?
Yeah. In warmer climates, they just grow outside. Like down in Vancouver, I'm sure they would survive just outside as a shrub. But for us, we keep it in the pot. And so you've had great success. You had it bloom. You went through the summer. It cooled down enough because I guess it was outside. And so that cooling down period let it think that it was going into winter. And then when you brought it in the house or whatever, I'm not sure when it started to bloom, but then it started.
September. I was surprised.
Wow, yeah.
Late September.
So it was. Now each of these are all different varieties. So some bloom earlier and some bloom later. So, but the one thing they have in common is after they bloom, they start to grow.
Oh, I
And
see.
so so that when they start to grow, that's a good time for transplanting. And just be aware that when you're cutting those roots very gently and carefully, that they will it shocks them a little bit. So keep them extra moist during that period.
Okay.
And you've transplanted. The only thing is, Dawn, maybe you'd recommend that. We used to pot them in straight peat moss.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
They were in straight peat moss, but most of the potting soils are almost straight peat moss anyway.
Yeah, but they do add some
they got
lime
some-
and stuff, and
Yeah,
we need to
they
get
do.
the acidic.
They do. You want the
effect,
acidity
yeah.
in there. I just want to commend Esther on her green thumb.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the tougher things to do, Esther. What you've done here is pretty special.
Oh, thank you.
Most people kill them.
Well, and over.
No, I love plants.
I know,
Such
and
a
I think
beautiful
she's
flower.
I think she's got one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think she's got the green thumb.
Oh,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so. Like my dad. My dad had a green thumb.
so do you think it'll bloom again in the spring or next fall or in the spring?
No, what it's got to do now is it's got to go through the growth phase. So that means it's got to grow. It's got to grow leaves and things and it'll get bigger. And just keep it moist. A little bit of fertilizer is always nice once in a while, maybe once monthly.
Okay.
Nice
Monthly.
bright location in through the winter months, like right
Well,
in a nice
I do
bright.
have it near a window, but we are facing north, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
keep it
surprised
close.
actually. We're facing north, and it's blooming so well, and has come back.
Yeah,
to
they are.
bloom.
See, if we put them outside, we'd be probably planting them in a shady location. But indoors, just try to keep it as close to the windows as possible.
Okay.
And the cool temperatures are better for it
they
than
need
warm.
that cooling period. Don't
So,
they?
like at night, in the evening, and your heaters.
I
everything
don't have
comes
the
down.
heat on at night.
Good. Well, that's what they like, right? That's perfect. And so then, once they start to grow and the leaves mature and they start to become like really sort of firm, leathery little leaves, then at that point, that it's maturing. And then you are going to go into spring and you're going to probably start maybe putting it outside. Is that what the plan is? Maybe putting it out on a deck or
Well,
something?
that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what it would like. It
yes.
would rather be outside for sure.
Well, thank you very much for the information. I didn't know what to do with it, actually.
Yeah.
I wanted to save the plant.
Well, just
It is a beautiful plant.
Yeah, just protect it from hard frosts and sudden changes, but it can really adapt to cooler temperatures. That's what they prefer.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Esther,
Have a
thank
nice
you.
day.
Well, thank you for the call, Esther, and congratulations on that. That's really
Yeah,
well
it's very
done.
cool.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
take care.
Bye-bye.
And we're going to take Louis before we take a break. Louis, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I have something for you, Don. A master gardener. He goes to Buckerfield and buys 25 chicken chicks,
Yes.
Yeah.
And a week later he goes back again, he buys again 25. Then he goes back and he buys again 25, and so on. And then finally the salesperson asks him, are you going into the chicken farming? Yeah, I try to, but I don't know what I do wrong. Either I plant them too shallow or too deep, and they don't come out.
That's pretty funny. That's cute. Louis, thank you.
I just had to tell you guys that, eh?
That's a beauty. That's a beauty.
I'm thinking about you every time when I'm planting mine garlic. Now, how deep should I plant that damn garlic,
Yeah, I just put mine down about 3 inches.
Yeah.
2.5,
From
3
there I
inches,
have
yeah.
it too.
Yep,
Yeah,
you bet.
I think that is just the right
Yep.
depth, eh?
You bet.
Yours are out already?
Mine haven't. I didn't get mine in on Thanksgiving weekend, so mine haven't poked through yet.
No, neither mine. But last year they tried to be a little bit faster, some reason or other. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Lots of time till next
If you
year.
find, oh yeah, no, they'll come up in the spring. Yep.
You guys, I wish you all the best, eh?
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate your
much,
call.
Louis.
You're
Thanks, Louis.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Take
bye
care.
now.
Bye-bye.
And yeah, it's always nice to hear from Louis. We're going to take a short break, and phone number to get through to us is 250-862-2525, and we will be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. We're back on a beautiful Saturday morning. It's so sunny out there. It's like it's March or something. We've gone
It's
through.
just beautiful.
November's just
Yeah.
about done, right?
Yeah, and it hasn't been much.
No.
We had that. Well, we didn't really have much frost. Well, we had some frost. I mean, I can remember
Oh, yeah, a little
at least
frost here and
about
there.
4 or
There's
5
some
days
frost
where I
here.
went out and scratched
A little
the
frost.
windshield a bit. But
A little frost here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, our Calibracoa plant hanger is still out front, in
Still
full bloom,
blooming
still
away,
blooming. It
yeah.
looking good.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah, we're very blessed, and the thing is, I always say this: November, December, January, February. That's our winter in the Okanagan. The rest of the months they can get cold and that, but it's not that vicious stuff, right? Well, we're a quarter of the way through now, practically. So we only got 3/4 of the way to go through winter, and we're done. We're done with that stinker.
Yep.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah, we're going to go to the phone lines. Good morning, Rick. You're on the air.
Morning, fellas.
Hey, Rick, how's it going today?
Good. As you know, I'm not the sharpest shovel in the
In the
garage.
shed?
In the cabinet?
Cabinet. Yeah. I want to ask a question about your tip of the day.
Yeah.
I just want clarification because I'm not quite sure what you meant. You said for the roses you should mulch them, and then you said with
I said Ogle Grow or Nature's
but
Gold.
what do you mean by mulch?
Well,
is
mulching.
it simply putting it on top, or is it working it into the ground?
It's
or
mounding. It's mounding.
mounding? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That,
So what?
that makes sense. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted to know. I didn't quite understand what you meant by that.
Yeah, you want to be about at least 12 inches high is the minimum height typically for mulching a rose. So you'd have this nice 12-inch high, 18-inch wide mound. And that's sort of the perfect thing. And if it's something that's stable, like I mentioned, Nature's Gold, the chunkier landscape mulch they have is quite nice because it's more chunky, so it lasts longer. The wind doesn't blow it around. And so I kind of like that product. But, it's just that time. I always like it to freeze a bit before I put my roses to bed for the winter.
Yeah, I have the climbing rose that I put in 2 years ago, I guess, and it's got green leaves growing on it right now.
Oh yeah. Roses love this cold weather or cool weather. It's perfect for them, and I often say they'll bloom at Christmas.
So I continue to do that no matter, even though it's the leaves are coming out, eh?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you want to protect the base. You want to protect the graft. Most roses are grafted, and it's that graft that you want to make sure is buried and protected from the harsh cold.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, fellas.
All righty.
Thank you,
for calling.
Rick. Appreciate the call.
Wonderful day.
Again,
Yep,
we've
you
said several times, Ken, the most important ones to cover are your hybrid teas.
Yeah, any of those ones that have that sort of French rose background, right? There's
Grandifloras.
Yeah, Glandiflora. I'm sure that a lot of Floribundas are as well.
Yep. They're a little hardier.
They're little. Some varieties, certain ones seem to
that's
be
right.
good.
There's some really large Floribundas. Some that grow, like
Iceberg.
Iceberg is a big one. Yeah,
It's a beautiful
white.
I would say probably the best white rose. The Winchester Cathedral, it turns a bit pink. But they all white roses, I think, turn a bit pink. There's some good white roses.
We can go on and on and on about roses. I'm a rose lover, Ken.
Yeah, it's funny though that like when I first came to the Okanagan, the roses were big time. Everybody had roses, but we never saw them getting eaten by deer as much as we do now. It's like the deer live in the city now, and they never used to, because we never, if you lived in Kelowna, you could have roses as many as you wanted, and there was no problem. But now every time we put roses, we think, gee, I'm going to have to cover them or protect them in the winter, or even in the summer, you go out and all the buds are gone, It's a little bit disappointing, but anyway, roses are great, and they are fabulous, and I always suggest to learn more about them and do a little research, find out what is available, and then research those roses, because if you pick a rose out of a book or something, you may never find that rose. It can be like it can take years and years just to find
roses that aren't available anymore.
Yeah.
One I'd like to get, Ken, is the very, very first hybrid tea rose that was developed in 1867. 1867. And it was La France, Lafrance, La France. And I'm positive we can still get it. It's the very first. It was the hybrid tea that was bred between the hybrid perpetual rose and the tea rose, which was the rose of China.
Yes.
They used to ship them in the tea crates, and that's why they call them tea roses. And they crossed the two, the hybrid perpetual and the tea rose, and came up with the hybrid tea. And La France was the first. Now there's been thousands and thousands of hybrid teas since then, including the very, very famous ones like Peace.
Yeah, Peace is probably one of the most well-known.
Yeah.
But there are so many.
And the history behind Peace was the fact that they, during the war, it was protected from people that were after the Nazi people were taking all these special things, and the people in France hid this thing, this budwood, because they knew how special it was, and they kept hidden. and they wouldn't allow, and it was hidden right to after the war, and then after that they named it Peace.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been, and then of course there's Flaming Peace and Red Peace. Carl Herbst is Red Peace.
Chicago Peace.
Chicago Peace.
Mm-hmm.
Pink Peace.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're all beautiful roses, but the original Peace is the
the distinction too, isn't it, Ken? That the large leaf that they have, that large.
It's very leathery
leaf.
too. Yeah. You can. That's a rose that you can actually identify by its foliage. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the first portion of the show. We've got a huge 1 hour left after that for you to call in and talk to Ken and I. Write the number down, 250-862-2525. You can write it down, put it on the fridge, put it on the phone, put it on speed dial, put whatever. Just get that number down, because you never know when you have to call. And when you're out in the garden, take your portable with you, or your cell, or whatever. Put it on speed dial.
You betcha. Good idea. There you go.
Speaking of cell phones, though, my good friend Ron Schur, the plumber, he's my plumber, Ron Schur. Anyway, Ron told me about a real cool way to get a security system going. If you got old cameras, okay, or not old cell phones, and you can get a security system going if you Google Alfred. And you can use these old cell phones as cameras. It's a free app, Alfred. And of course, you get old cell phones; they're free from your kids. Yep. Probably almost up to date cell phones, but anyway.
Yeah.
And you put places around. I don't know. I'm sure that they're going to have a charging mechanism beside each one. But you set it up, and he's got. I've got Alfred on my phone now, and I'm going to set things up. And he was showing me. He showed me. Oh, this is me driving out of my yard this morning, and
That's very
pretty cool.
Yep, it's a neat idea. And
I mean, there's all sorts of those systems out there now, but this is like freebie and recycling cell phones.
Oh, that's a great idea. You bet. Something to do with those phones for sure.
You betcha.
I know we've donated a few, and we'll probably donate some more. But that's I might just keep a handful. It's amazing how you go through phones in businesses.
Holy! In your business, you get lots of cell phones.
They pile up sometimes. Yep. Yeah, you bet.
There are too many cell phones, Ken. Not too many plants.
No, you can't have too many plants.
Too many plants, but you can have too many cell phones. And that note, we're going to take a short break for the news, and we'll be back with a whole hour of AM 1150 Garden. Well, I just can't keep not talking about the fact how beautiful the weather is and how beautiful it is outside there. I notice lots of folks out doing some pruning and things, and that's fine. Prune at this time of year, so that's okay. Most things can be pruned at this time of year. But one of the things I want to just talk a little bit about here, Ken, and it's very, very important. We do invite your calls, however, 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I. But I just want to talk about people have phoned me over the years and asked me a question. I had one just last week. They've got a big tree, big maple tree, and they've got the trunk itself of this maple tree is about 1.5 feet wide, okay? And coming off fairly low down, only 3 feet off the ground, is about a 8 to 10 inch branch coming off, right?
Yep.
And they want to get rid of that, okay? And I've seen this happen so often, and I really want to warn people. That is one big, huge injury to the tree. If you cut close to the trunk, and yes, it will occlude, and it'll try and best to have that wound wood come over top of the gap, and the coat it will set up. The compartmentalization of disease will set up, and everything like that. But you've injured that tree so badly that you pretty much are destined to have a
What it boils down to, and it's unfortunate, is people don't care. And it's just what I found, because, I know people who would pay, a lot of money to have professionals come in and tell them how to save their trees and how to take care of them. And they get the advice, don't cut off those big branches, whatever you do. Then they go ahead and just say, well, I don't care, just cut them off anyway, right? So then it's like, then the arborists don't like doing it because they're trained not to do it, right? But then they go, well, he says he doesn't care, so okay, well then he doesn't care, so off they go and they hack off all these big branches. I see that quite often, where where those people have to, number one, get the right information, and then follow the advice would be the next one. Or just remove the tree. Like if you don't like the tree, just get rid of it, right?
Well, one of the things I was going to come up with here, Ken, just to say, if you want to not wound it so badly, is to, even though it's a 10-inch trunk coming off, or branch coming off that 10-inch trunk, if you leave a foot and a half of branch and cut it and leave that branch, that deadness won't transfer into the center of that tree so badly. Yeah. It's not as aesthetically pleasing, but it won't injure the tree as much. Yeah. If you cut close to the trunk, you have just really and really the ultimate thing is to not cut it, but to try to shape it into being part of the tree again, right? And to do crown reduction to keep your shape. But if that low branch that you're wanting to remove is in the way, your mower and you're trying to mow, then that should have been done, recognized when the tree was brand new. Then you make your smaller cuts in. Your lowest permanent branch is here. That's where you want it to be. And you cut, and as the time goes on, you're cutting off those branches below it, and and then the lowest permanent branch stays. But when you do cut those ones below, you're only making half-inch cuts. It's not a big deal to the tree.
What's interesting too is I see it quite often. I see it all over Kelowna. I could actually drive around and point out the trees, but many trees suffer from this clogging of the arteries, right? That happens with the verticillium wilt fungus and whatnot. So where the tops of the trees start to suffer from clogging of the arteries, and this whole top becomes sort of stunted a little bit, and it's just not really doing well. And all of a sudden, the side branch from down below shoots out and just far surpasses everything and becomes the new tree. So the tree has now bypassed all the sick arteries and the sort of the weak part of the tree, which is really the entire tree. But this branch becomes way bigger and way stronger, and it just surpasses the entire tree. And then all of a sudden the tree, 10 years later, the tree looks so lopsided. But the little clump of branches on the right, that was the entire tree. Yeah. And on the left, that huge, big, tall branches, that's the tree now. Right. So, it's just an interesting thing. So then if someone said, well, let's cut this off, you'd be cutting off the dead stuff, the sick stuff, and keeping that nice, healthy wood. But like you say, if it's down low, what do? You'd probably, if you had a pro out there, you'd probably identify that there was an issue, and then maybe you could retrain that big branch to being a better leader, maybe. I don't know. Maybe
turned into a leader or whatever.
It's a fascinating world. Trees are amazing the way they respond to just their environment, right?
Yeah. And they don't, when you cut close to the trunk, I mean, this is what you end up with, is big dead wood inside. And then, of course, the new wound wood comes and tries to cover that up. And often the old coat it works,
Yep, it forms a layer on the outside
and
of the tree.
And it's amazing sometimes the how that works. But on the other hand,
the closer you cut,
you've just wounded that tree to the point where it's done.
Exactly. The closer you cut, the harder it is for the tree to do anything. But also remember, we're cutting into the branch collar. Right. And I often would say that the branch collar is actually the trunk.
Part of the trunk.
And that sort of swells out where the branch comes out of the tree. And that swollen area, that's called the branch collar, that is the trunk. And then the branch grows out as if like a tube that goes all the way to the center of the tree, grows out of that center and does its thing. So when you remove a branch, you have to remove just the branch. Yeah. Don't cut into the trunk, because then you've damaged the trunk, and then you've got all kinds of issues that are even more than that.
They call that flush cutting. And I've got a 1935 arborist book, okay? And they recommend that you flush cut right to the thing. Then they recommend they have a tree rasp, and they rasp it right down nice and smooth. And it's like wood finishing, like woodworking. Yeah. And they rasp it all down. Then they slap a bunch of tar on top. Yeah. That was
all the things
that was in a book. And that's what Shigo did. He changed that thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we know that that's all bad. it's all bad for the tree, for sure.
Yep.
So, but it's great. It's good to get advice, and it's good to find professionals who know what they're talking about and to get the best advice you can.
Yep. The best advice really is something you say all the time. Right plant, right place. Make sure when you buy a tree, you know how big it's going to get, what it's going to do, and put it in the right spot. It's going to accommodate it. We all have made the mistakes. I bet you any money, Ken Salvail, Mr. Guy that knows so much, you have planted a tree in the wrong spot in your lifetime.
Oh, I've made tons of mistakes, and that's hopefully we learn from it. But that being said, it is really hard for the human mind to perceive that this little twig that you're planting is going to become this monstrous, 80-foot high tree one day. And those years go by pretty fast, actually.
We've all done it. I mean, I did it a few years ago with my magnolia. I've got a magnolia, and I thought I was nicely spaced between my magnolia. This is a magnolia grandiflora, the evergreen magnolia, and a lilac. Yeah. Well, they're pushing at each other now. Yeah. They're pushing at each other.
And even at that, the trees are allowed to touch each other, and so are shrubs, because that's what happens in nature. They grow together. Right. It's just nice to be able to, what I always say is that it's nice to be able to take advantage of a plant's form and shape as one of the attributes of that plant. So if it has, if it's a conical shape, or if it's a teardrop shape, or if it's a wide sort of a rounded shape or branchy shape, that's one of the reasons why you plant it. So that's an attribute. It blooms. It does all these other things, but you need to be able to see the shape. So touching a little bit's fine, but you do kind of lose the, that whole form thing.
They want to work together.
Yep.
We've got Pam has called in, and we'd like to talk to Pam. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. Good morning. I am just enjoying, as always, your show, and I'm also so enjoying the bright sunlight streaming through my windows. And I just wanted to pass on, how you just sometimes people phone in and share just things that are happening in their garden that are just worth sharing, or that you just want to share with somebody. And I just caught the bit of discussion you and Ken were having about roses and how roses are likely still blooming someplace, I don't have a lot of roses, but I thought I would just share a plant, I guess it's a shrub maybe, I don't know exactly if it's a shrub or what. Its common name is beautyberry bush. I don't know what its Latin name is. But right now it is basking in the sunlight. And all of its branches it's like garlands of beautiful purple berries, clusters of purple berries all over this woody frame, because the leaves have fallen off now. And the contrast against my stucco wall, it's got a dark stucco wall behind it, and the sun is shining on it. It's like, wow, it's like it's on stage. And I just wanted to pass on to people, I think roses are beautiful. We're always looking for some kind of color in our garden, and I can pass on that this beautyberry bush looks beautiful absolutely all year long, because those berries are going to go right through the winter. When the snow comes, the contrast of the purple berries against the white snow is just outstanding.
And they're a true purple. They're really
they're
like
very
almost
unique color in the garden. Now, Pam, I got to ask you, are you home today?
I am, yes.
Well, if you see a little short, bald, chubby guy with a camera creeping through your garden, don't get creeped out.
No, you will not creep me out. Please do pop in, Don.
Take a picture of that.
I will be home. I'm going to be out for about an hour between 10:30 and 11:30, but then I'll be home all day. I have a number of volunteers and some staff from Hands and Service. We're getting ready for our Touch of Christmas fair next Saturday, so we're going to be icing sugar cookies. So
tell us about that too, Pam, before we let you go.
Oh, I would love to. Hands and Service happily announces the 10th annual Touch of Christmas craft fair at the New Life Center next Saturday. It runs from 9:30 to 3:30. We've been doing this for, like I said, 10 years. We have about a 70% return rate on our vendors. We have 85 artisan vendors that come with everything that you can eat, wear, decorate with. It's a wonderful one-stop Christmas shopping opportunity. Wow. And it's a fundraiser for our nonprofit that we provide services for people who are disabled and mobility challenged in our community.
You do a wonderful job, Pam. And is David's show on now, or is it that he was putting a...
My hubby?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's December 9th.
December 9th. Mm-hmm. Because I'm excited about that for you, too. He's
excellent.
Fabulous, talented gentleman.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for acknowledging that.
betcha.
Well, please stop by. Don't just creep through the yard. Come around back to the sliding glass door, and we'll invite you in, and you can have a cup of apple cider with us and a couple of snowflake sugar cookies.
Oh man! I mentioned Chubby. I mentioned Chubby.
Well, it's this season to stay warmed on. And people are not as warm and maybe not as happy as chubby people. So don't fight it.
I will. I'm going to try and make it. And I was going to do it a quickie on the way home from the garden show here, but Donna needs the truck. She has to go shopping.
Get a picture of that.
But I want to get that Calicarpa on my camera. There's no doubt.
And I don't know how quick the sun's going to move, but because that shrub it's in the north end of my property, so right now the sun is shining.
Well, you should take the picture.
I just went out and took a couple of shots.
Okay, good.
Fabulous.
Well, I'll come and take my angle too, but I'd like to see it with the sun on it.
It's so important with the light, isn't it? You got to get the light just right.
Yeah. It just was. I was looking and thinking that is a composition, but that has been framed right for me. So
Pam, we always enjoy talking to you, and don't hesitate to call in and let us know what's going on in your garden.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks
dear.
a lot, Ken and Don. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now. On that note, we're a quarter way through this portion of the show, and we're going to take another short break. But we invite your calls, 250-862-2525, if you want to phone in and stop Ken and Don from talking. And then we can talk to you. But we love talking, as you know. We'll keep talking.
You betcha.
But we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Ken and I just went through about 5 pictures of flush cuts, and we're gagging.
Cringing.
We're gagging and cringing watching. That's interesting, Ken, how you and I get together, and what do we do? Remember that night you came over a few years ago, and we looked at, what's her name's Vizio and pruning, the gal from Seattle. Yeah. I forget her name now, but anyway, she's one of the famous arborists down in Seattle. And Ken and I had an evening. We watched a video on pruning.
Oh, it was great.
Oh, I tell you, it was fabulous.
Well, those some of those things, some of those training sessions can be really, really valuable, and they're not something you can just look up on YouTube or whatever. No. They're something that is direct from the source.
Right.
And it's super valuable.
Interesting. There's woodworkers, and then there's arborists, and then there's combination of the two. And Alex Shigo, Dr. Shigo, was a combination of the two. And not only was he a woodworker, and he loved working with wood, and of course he loved studying how the trees grow and whatnot. Mm-hmm. He was also a musician, played violin, and he talked about, in one of his books that I've read, he talked about the special wood that they will use, Stradivarius and all these people that were building these. What makes them different than building something out of a pine or something? No, it's the wood. It's the life of the wood, the way it vibrates, and the way it resonates. Yeah, and I guess the same with guitars. Same idea.
Totally. Yeah. Every guitar is completely different, but it's just fascinating the way wood responds and. Just over the years, when we used to do more arborist work years ago, we would collect all the different species of wood. So I had, most of it went to firewood, but I had all the different species in separate piles in my yard. I had a lot of room, so I'd have that. And the Fraxinus, the green ash, was the best acoustic wood. Because you could take a piece of that, like a stump or a log, and just you hit it with another log, and it would dong. Oh, wow. It would just ring. It had this resonance, right? And then I realized that's the ash. When you hear people making musical instruments out of ash, that's the ash, right? And there's a reason it has resonance. It's amazing. And the other ones, it's just absolutely dead. You hit the side of a piece of wood, and it just makes no sound whatsoever. So it is fascinating to find those types of wood that really respond.
Well, I have in my shop, I'll have to show it to you, Ken, because whenever I work with a piece of wood, I cut a little square, a 1/4 inch wide and about 2 by 2 inches square, and I've got them glued on a plaque on a board, and I shine them up nice, and each one has its own character and thing, and I got the name written underneath it.
Oh, good.
I'll have to show you that. It's I've got oak.
Do you have mountain ash?
I don't think I have mountain ash.
Mountain ash is beautiful wood.
Well, if you ever have a log of mountain ash,
yeah, you
let me
should.
know.
Yeah, you should have a piece. It's such a rich brown color. It's just lovely.
Really?
Yeah, it would make a nice coffee table if you could ever find a big one. There are a few big ones around. They're not a long-lived tree. I think they're still in that pioneer tree category, right?
They are a pioneer tree.
So not a long-lived tree, but a good tree for sure.
Yeah. Well, I just love the difference here. Now, I've got a piece of lignum vitae. It is the hard, full of juice. It's used for bearings in. It'll never rot. Yeah, it'll never rot. It's used for bearings in ships, motor bearings in ships back in the day. Lignum vitae.
It's the hardest wood, isn't it?
Well, I've got a chunk of it that's about 1.5 foot long and about 10 inches, and it weighs about 150 pounds. It's just wow. Well, maybe not 150, but 80.
So
pounds.
that's when you can't get that wood anymore. Is that right?
No,
you have to get it through.
If anybody knew I had this piece, I'd be in jail.
Nobody knows, though.
I'd be in jail.
Nobody knows.
Lignum vitae. Yeah, very, very interesting wood. Now, we're going to go back to the phone lines, and we're going to talk to, who are we talking to, Chris? No, we're not talking to Chris. We're talking to, if I can see this,
you need my glasses, Don?
Miles. Is that Miles?
Yes, Don. Good
Miles,
morning.
thank you for Miles Treadgold. I
How
knew
did
as
you
soon as I heard your voice, Miles, old family friend. Yeah, how you doing?
Well, thanks. And you?
Excellent.
Good. Just a quick question. Should I cover my compost box over the winter or just leave it open to the rain and snow?
I'm going to leave that to my absolute compost expert to answer that question, Miles.
Okay. Yeah, with compost, it does need some moisture, and so a small amount is fine. But I would rather actually have it open at times and closed at times is what I would actually do, so that I allowed it to maintain a little bit of moisture, but not to become soggy. You don't want them to become anaerobic, and that's where it just becomes soggy and soppy, and then at that point it just turns into a mess, and it really stinks at that point.
Right.
So aeration is the key. So you want to have lots of air in your compost piles. And, a little bit of moisture is perfect, but a lot is not good. So I think I would have a cover for sure, and I would have it maybe allow some moisture in and then cover it up again.
Good idea. Thank you.
All righty.
Miles, thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Don.
Thanks,
Bye.
Miles. Bye-bye.
Now, the other thing, Miles could do, too, is, like you say, stirring your compost is a good thing. So maybe
aeration.
Aeration. So I mean, unless it's frozen solid, maybe periodically, if it's still not frozen, turning it. The Ogo Grow production out at the city dump or the city, the nuisance ground, as Dad used to call it. They pipe. They have pipes running through the piles. PVC pipes,
blowing air,
perforated pipes, and they have fans blowing air into these pipes. And my goodness, do they rot things down quickly?
They get hot. Yeah,
really hot.
But that's active composting is where you're actually taking the compost, you're turning it, aerating it, moisturizing it a little, and then aerating it again, and it gets very, very hot. And that heat is what kills diseases and weed seeds and that sort of thing. But the whole mess can all just turn into this beautiful, rich compost product. It's just fabulous, a must for the garden. I also do molding, which molding is different. Like I do with my leaves, is I put them into garbage cans and just fill the garbage can full. I like the leaves to have a little bit of moisture, so some humidity on them, but not soggy. Into the garbage can and put the lid on it, and then I leave it, and I don't disturb it much. I'm keeping it cool. I think like a fungus. That's what I do, is think like a fungus, and I let those leaves mold. And so what encourages mold is lack of air circulation. So that's why we put the lid on it. We keep it cool. We keep it undisturbed. and that stimulates the mold to grow within the garbage can. So molding works well in a concealed space. If you had it outside in a pile, you can develop a leaf mold outside just in a heap, but it takes a lot longer. It takes about a year or sometimes even 2 years, depending on the types of leaves. Mm-hmm. Like oak leaves, for example, are very slow to mold, and maple leaves are very quick to mold, depending on the type of maple. But the thin leaves go quick, and the thick leaves take a little bit longer. But I think it's really a cool way. For myself, I'm doing it because I'm really lazy. And I don't want to have to haul in soil into my vegetable bins next year. And leaves are much lighter, but yet they take up a lot of bulk. So what I'm going to be able to do is mold these things from now all the way till about April. And then in April, I'm expecting to dump them out and find this beautiful brown, rich brown colored leaf material and be able to dig that right into the veggie beds, thus giving me the bulk that I need to fill them up. But that beautiful organic acid that comes out of those leaves is what the plants just crave. So it should be a really nice environment. And it should do the job, and it's light. Like I said, I'm getting lazy in my old age.
Perfect. Well,
so there you go.
Yeah, me too.
And it's a good way to recycle all those leaves that I have on my property.
Quick question before we take a break. Why, when you put a nice big pile of leaves up, they fall, you pile them up, you lift them up later, and it's quite a nice smell, kind of a fresh smell in a way. Pile up some lawn clippings and turn that pile.
See what happens.
The stench that comes off that pile will fill the neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's
what's the difference.
The key thing is that leaves that fall off the trees have no nitrogen in them, or very little. They're pretty much straight carbon. So those leaves have lost their nitrogen. The green is the nitrogen. The lawn clippings are green, so they're full of nitrogen. And of course, nitrogen is that's the fuel that fuels composting. So when you get that hot, the hot energy, when you put a pile of lawn clippings anywhere, you just put it in a pile, come back just like a few minutes later, and it's getting hot right away, and within an hour it's heating. It's because it's literally, lawn clippings are pure nitrogen. The bacteria get in there and just start consuming it at a mad pace, and it's that mad oxidation is just amazing, and the thing just gets hot and it just breaks down super fast. So if you could mix the leaves with the lawn clippings, which would be really nice. You've got your carbon and you've got your nitrogen. The two have to go together. But you always need more nitrogen than you do carbon to make sure that you're breaking down that carbon quickly. With molding, it's just a totally different ball of wax. It doesn't really have so much to do with the nitrogen. It's more to do with just the carbon and fungus that love to eat and decompose, rotting things like wood and leaves and that sort of thing.
Problem is the timing is like you're getting lawn clippings all through the season.
Yeah.
And you only get leaves really in bulk once a year in the fall.
Yeah. But that's why it's nice to have, if you can store your leaves, then you can be integrating them into your compost throughout the season, which would be ideal.
We pinned her down, Ken.
Yep.
Okay.
You betcha.
On that note, we're going to take a short break, and we invite your calls, 250-862-2525, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden. We are back with you, and holy mackerel, it looks, it's not a forest fire, but across the lake, there's this long, low-lying...
That is lake effect
cumulonimbus or something?
No.
I don't know.
It's just lake effect cloud, I think, Don.
Is it lake effect cloud?
Yep.
Coming off the lake. It's an effect from the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't try and explain it scientifically, but...
no, flavage. Don't you know when the snow comes out of that? It's called flavage.
Flavage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds good to me. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we're going to go back to the phone lines. We do invite your calls, 250-862-2525. We are welcoming Megan to the show. Good morning, Megan.
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent,
good.
Thank you.
So I'm just calling in about my fiddlestick tree. So I just got a new one, and it's about 5 feet tall, and I'm noticing some brown spots on the leaves, and I'm not sure if I've read about it, that it's either maybe root rot or underwatering. And so I'm just wondering if you would maybe be able to give me some advice on that, and also if repotting it during this time of year is a good thing to do.
Well, that's a great question, and this is one of the Ficus lyrata, I think is the one. It's a fiddle leaf fig. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah, and so these plants will survive going quite dry between waterings, and they will survive in anywhere from full sun to part sun to shade. So when you have a leaf that turns brown, especially if it's in a round spot, is it a roundish spot on the leaf?
It's sometimes, or it's on just like the edge of the leaf.
Yeah. So that's sounding more like a salt issue where you're getting buildup in the soil. But what's your water practice on this one? Do you have a system that you do?
So I usually leave it. I try to let it dry out as much as possible, and I try to go down at least 1 or 2 inches in the soil to feel how dry it is.
Right.
And then if it is in need of watering, I'll slowly water it to try to make sure that the roots actually get all the water so it doesn't drain out. And then about once a week I spray it with a spray bottle as well.
Some misting, yeah. Well, they always appreciate that, that's for sure. So and then how much light is it getting? Is it right close to a window?
It's close to a window, and I would say it gets indirect sunlight for probably 4 to 5 hours a day right now with the weather the way it is.
Okay. Do you have any, water minerals or anything showing up on the soil surface?
Not that I've noticed.
Or crustiness?
Pardon?
Any crustiness around the edges or anything?
No, nothing like that.
No, okay. Well, it's very possible it might have a touch of root rot, but how big is the pot? Is it about a 10-inch diameter or so, or how big is it?
It's about 12 inches.
12-inch, okay. So next time that it starts to dry out just a little bit, and it's getting maybe dry down to about a half an inch or so, you might want to just grab the thing by the trunk and gently lift it off the ground and tap the pot downwards so that the pot slips off without disturbing the root.
Okay.
And then just lift it up, and sometimes you can even, if you did it somewhere you could make a bit of a mess, you can sit it on a little bench or something where you can just set the whole root mass without disturbing it onto an area where you can observe it. And then from there you just look around it and you look at all the roots. You should see quite a bit of root growth, and you could sort of touch the roots with your finger, and they should look fairly white. Like they'll have brown parts, but they'll be firm and they'll be white, and if you scratch them with your thumbnail a little bit, you might see some white inside. So the key is that you've got these healthy tissues. If you see roots and then you touch them and they're kind of mushy and they turn brown or black or that sort of a thing, then chances are that's root rot, and you've got it. So then at that point you pop it back into the pot very carefully, and you know the answer. Either I have healthy roots or I have bad roots. If you have bad roots, the funny thing is especially with ficus is that we have to actually do this procedure, which is where we leach the soil, where we put it into a situation where we'll put it in the sink or something, and we'll just trickle tepid water through that soil a bit and let it run down the drain. And what we're doing is leaching or washing out any bad salts or any bad nutrients and things, and let that go down the drain. Then we stop watering. We stop watering for quite some time, maybe a month or two, and we're going to let that thing dry out quite a bit. And so what we do is we relieve all the stress from the soil, anything that might be stressful like salts or built up minerals and things. And then that allows the roots to relax and they'll start to grow a bit. And then by drying out, the plant actually detects that it's drying out quite a bit. And when it does that, it stimulates it to search for more water. So then even though there's dead roots in there, it can send out these beautiful new roots to replace them. And then once you get new roots, all of a sudden you notice the whole plant perks up and you start getting new growth coming on it. And that's when you've passed through that process and you're now on the other side the thing is recovering.
Right.
And then at that point, again, then you go back onto your cycle. I think your cycle is good. When you water it, you're going to give it a couple liters of water, making sure it's very slowly soaked right through so it's thoroughly moistened, and then you're going to allow it to dry between waterings about an inch or two deep, which is pretty much right on the money.
Right. Okay.
So, and then once the thing grows and gets going, and you're seeing it responding, we're talking about February at this point, that's a good time to start maybe a once a month of a mild water fertilizer, usually something like, the 15, 30, 15 or so. There's regular water-soluble fertilizers for houseplants.
Right. Okay.
Megan, how
Great.
old is the plant? How long have you had it?
I've just got it, I would say, at the beginning of September.
Mm-hmm. And these spots started showing up soon after?
I don't know if it... I know when I first got it, there were a couple of leaves that already had the spots on it, but it was kind of wrapped up when I got it, so I didn't see the extent of it. It was given to me as a gift. So
Is there any new growth on it?
There's been one or two leaves at the top. The top leaves don't have any discoloration or brownness. It's just those lower ones, lower to the pot.
Well, I think if you follow Ken's insightful instructions, I was sitting there absorbing them like just listening. No, really, I think he's hit her on the nail on the head.
Just to find out if you have healthy roots or not healthy roots, and if you have healthy roots, then you just put it in. These things, Don, can be just an event that happened.
Right. It should be. Yeah.
And as long as those new leaves coming out are fine, that's the beauty.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're
well,
actually
thank you
not
so much for your advice.
Yeah, they're not that difficult to look after either. They're pretty hardy plants.
They
so,
should come around. Yeah.
Good luck on that.
Great. Thank you so
dear.
much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Okay, we've got an open switchboard, and we're just approaching the quarter hour, so we're going to take a short break and invite your calls, 250-862-2525. We've got 15 minutes left in the Garden Show. If you need to phone in, give us a call, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. We are back with you and enjoying every darn minute of it, as normal.
Yep,
as usual.
It's always a fun show. That's for sure.
We are here every Saturday morning, and we've been here now in our 35th year. And
this is the 999th show today.
999, Ken. 999.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I remember it was 666. It's 999 now.
Yep.
And we're going to celebrate that. The big celebration will be on the 22nd of December. Coming up. A few weeks.
Our Christmas show. Yeah,
but next week is the 1,000th show. It's the milestone, that we're quite proud of. Quite happy to have been here all those years. And we're going to. Who are we going to see? Let's see here.
You need a bigger screen, Don.
Are we on? We're from Linda again, from Peachland, right? Linda, good morning.
Hi, you're right on, Don.
Yes.
And it's really, really noisy behind me here because the market is just happening. But the town is abuzz with all our 5 different locations for the market. And even the town crier is out at street level. It's pretty exciting. So just another invitation. Come one, come all. We're having a lot of fun here.
Sounds great, Linda.
Does Peachland have a town crier?
Well, we have a volunteer town crier, and he is dressed out in his red and white finery. He looks like Christmas.
Oh, wow. Like, hear ye, hear ye. Is that what it is? That kind of thing?
That's the idea.
That's the guy. Okay.
Cry.
Cool.
Anyway, I got to run, but have a wonderful day, and hopefully we see you down at the market here in Peachland.
You betcha. Thanks for the report. We appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, those were the days when you want to. There was no radio, there was no television. I guess there was newspapers, but
even newspapers though were not.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, the town crier would walk through with his bell and say, "Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye."
Yeah. And, the weather tomorrow is going to be sunny,
cloudy,
cloudy with showers.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, well, we are getting down towards the end of the show. We still have time for a call or two if you wish to call in, 250-862-2525. And, there's a couple of things we want to mention. One, we haven't been to see Elaine Cameron yet today, and I think we should. We should go and check into Elaine. And we left her off, at the in November, last week of November. I just want to talk about the first week of December because coming up, we're going to be so busy we may not be able to talk about it. But on the first week of December in 1950, Elaine Cameron saw 1 inch of snow, and the temperature was chilly, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. 10 degrees Fahrenheit is getting down
cold.
there. I don't know what it is in Celsius, but
cold.
we could change it. Anyway, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. And she pulled out her artichokes and cleared away the twitch grass. Now, at 10 below, why was she doing that? But anyway.
She's a gardener.
She's a gardener.
Hardcore gardener.
She unpotted something. I can't read the writing here. She's got that old English writing. And chrysanths. And then set in holes in the greenhouse. Oh, I guess she digged some holes in the greenhouse and set these plants into the holes. Snow in the evening. And then it's 20 degrees Fahrenheit that day. Then they hauled some manure to the border the next day on the 9th of December. Not the next day, but the 9th of December. She's skipping days here now because, in the wintertime she wasn't writing as much.
Not gardening every day.
Yep. And on the 12th of December, 1950, it was mild, sunshine in the afternoon, 3 barrels of muck on compost. I wonder what that's all about. 3 barrels of muck on the compost. I guess, well, whatever. She knew what she was doing.
Whatever it was. Maybe it was mud or muck or compost or.
And then she took the dead perennials into the compost and tops from the lilac bed. Put the chrysanthemums back into the greenhouse for more light. Fascinating lady. I wish I would have got to know her a little bit more. But, it's nice to write a garden diary. Do you write things down, Ken?
I sort of do. My cell phone, I have everything recorded every day from every... And as far back as my phone goes, I think it goes always about 4 years or so. So, there's a lot of stuff. But it's busy every day.
Yeah. Well, we'll do more of Elaine Cameron, and especially coming into the new year. We'll start a whole new year with Elaine Cameron's diary.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty fun to watch what she did over the years. And I'm just going to go down here to see if there's anything. Oh, just a little bit before my plant of the week was the poinsettia. And just a little bit of history. The plant we know as the poinsettia is long and interesting history. Native to Central America, flourished in the land of southern Mexico, known as Taxco. And the Aztecs used the plant for decorative purposes, but also put the plant to practical use. They extracted a purplish dye for use in textiles and cosmetics from the plant's bracts. The bracts are the modified
leaves. Yeah.
And the milky white sap, today called latex, was made into a preparation to treat fevers. And, of course, that's euphorbia. It's a euphorbia. All euphorbias, like ficus, have that milky sap. Poinsettias may have remained a regional plant for many years to come had it not been for the efforts of Joel Roberts Poinsett. He lived from 1779 to 1851. He was the son of a French physician. Poinsett was appointed as the first United States ambassador to Mexico, 1825 to 1829, by President Madison. Poinsett had attended medical school himself, but his real love in the scientific field was botany. Mr. Poinsett later founded the institution, which we know today as the Smithsonian Institution.
Wow.
Poinsett maintained his own hothouses on his Greenville, South Carolina plantations, and while visiting the Taxco area in 1828, he became enchanted by the brilliant red blooms he saw there. So he immediately sent some of the plants back to South Carolina, where he began propagating the plants and sending them to friends and botanical gardeners. Among the recipients of Poinsett's work was John Bartram of Philadelphia, who in turn gave the plant over to another friend, Robert Buist, a Pennsylvania nurseryman. Mr. Buist is thought to be the first person to have sold the plant under its botanical name, Euphorbia pulcherrima. It is thought to have become known by its most popular name of poinsettia about 1836, the origin of the name recognizing the man who first brought the plant to the United States. So they honored Joel Poinsett and did all sorts of things, and then the Eckes Ranch took over, and they just took the poinsettia to
a whole new level, yeah, and not poisonous.
And it's not poisonous. It's proven not poisonous. The poinsettia is not a poisonous.
It's all myth out there that I even saw another thing on some sort of gardening site where they were saying that, and don't forget to keep it away from everybody because it's poisonous. And I was like, who is this?
Why are they doing that?
This is a myth.
Fake news, spreading fake news.
Yep. There you go.
Well, Ken, we're right down to the time when I think we should start thinking about giving our tips and plants for the week.
2 minutes, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tips and plants of the week. Okay. Well, this show was dedicated to Tom Landale, my good friend who passed away this past Wednesday, and our condolences to his family.
Mm-hmm.
My tip of the week is we're with this mild weather, I think it's prudent that we do as much rat control as we can, because those guys are out there, and as many as you can trap and get rid of, that's one less rat in the world, right?
That's right.
My plant of the week was poinsettia, and we sure expanded on that in the last little bit here. The poinsettia, beautiful plant, and relatively easy to look after nowadays. It's a much more advanced plant than it was years ago when you'd killed them in about 2 days.
Yeah, there you go. Well, as Charlie Brown would say, rats.
Yeah.
The tip, I have a tip of the week this week, and it's just a reminder to remove your hoses from your taps around the house. Make sure that it's not freezing into the building. Not that we're having much freezing now, but it's coming soon. Also mentioning it's a good time to mulch roses, which is to bury them up about 12 to 18 inches high and wide with some sort of a composting material that won't blow away too easily. And my plant of the week is parsley, just because parsley is just so happy in these conditions. It's just growing like a weed, and it's just looking beautiful. And I'm going to definitely take some pictures of mine because it just looks so great. So that's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check KelownaGardens.com.
On that note, we like to say goodbye, and we'll see you again next week with more AM 1150 Garden Show.